Okay, back to business. Where were we before we were so early interrupted? Yeah, I got to bring these down to 5/8. That's for his rails to go, or he's going to cut his rails out of there to go around his Lazy Susan. And I'm bringing this one down to a 1/2 inch so he can cut his 1-inch strips out. Probably thinking I'm going to cut them 1-inch strips out, but I ain't. See, as soon as I'm done with this, I'll just put this over here to keep from beating out in front of this. Fold her up in place and my leg moves down. And this leg is adjustable. Just loosen this off, slide this pipe up and down, and then adjust the height of this. So it's all, and then of course this is always in the same plane this is on. So it don't matter how high or low how much I raise my table up and down. I got the height on the other end as well. So the wood comes out flat, cut down flat. Alright, something new here, Pop. Remember my jig? I used to have that clamp on it. You know, like these, to hold the wood down. Well, that clamp I just showed you, I still use it for another function. But these pieces here get this tenon cut in there. Just this tenon, this machine here cuts this tenon. So it fits in like so. That's cut, this is cut out on the other machine. And this is cut in this machine. So it has to be held in place and against the fence and passed through. So the cutters get that, and it can't be sucked in or anything, or of course it won't be nice and square, and this is what makes the door square. Well, I used to have that clamp on there, and we used to put it in and the clamp would come down like this and hold her in place. Well, I got away from that now, and I got this air cylinder right here mounted on it. And here's this little toggle switch on my handle. I made up this wooden handle. I just traced out the handle of one of my hand saws. I couldn't find the plug where to plug the handsaw in, so I threw the damn thing out, but I kept the handles. And here's one of them here. So I just hit this with my thumb, and it pushes it down. When I push it through, when I take her away, I just release it and come back. So just put the wood in here like this, hit her down. Now that ain't going anywhere. That's held 350 pounds of pressure from this little clamp. Pass her through like so, cuts the tendon in, releases it, take it out, turn it around, push it back in this way, and push her through. Of course now I won't get it through because there's not a tenon cut in there. When I get through the other side, release it again. Pressure on her and off. You can see, I don't know if you see it there, when the pressure comes on you actually see this steel plate bend a bit. Watch. See when I do it slow? Had to keep an eye on that. Watch my welds. I'm not a welder, you know. I can do it, but it's not pretty. Sometimes it works. So I don't have to take my hand off of here at all. I just put my hand on here and away we go. Through, off, turn it around, pass her through, off, lay this on my movable table sitting here, grab another one, push it in, away we go, and I do the whole order of doors and cut the tenons in it right here. My little air jig. This is a flow control on here. It regulates how fast the piston pushes out. I just got a bolt put up in here that acting as my extension on the shaft off the air cylinder. This is a 2-inch cylinder, but it's got about an inch, yeah, maybe an inch stroke on it, which is enough, of course, because this is just adjusted enough to slide the wood in underneath. And I got sandpaper on the bottom of this one as well, and it holds her down good and tight. And before, with my clamp had to be right in the center. So the clamp had to come in the center of this. If not, you know, it would rock it one way or the other, and the tenon wouldn't be cut square across, see? So then when I switch over to a wider piece, like this, I had to move it out farther to be in the center. And then when I made the railings for the raised drawers, they're only about this wide. Now, of course, they're full thickness, but they're only about this wide, so my plunger would even miss it. So, of course, now it doesn't matter how wide I push it in there, right up to 8.5 inches, and it's going to be held evenly all across, because this is, down here, you see, is just about the height, look, the right height right there. So when this is clamped down, pressure is being held straight across. Just something new that I did. Another thing here you haven't seen, I don't believe, is sometimes with the doors, when I make the doors, they want the hole drilled in the back, 35mm hole drilled in the back of the door for the hinge to sit in, the new European system. Well, they need to be a set height from the top and the bottom throughout the whole kitchen, so they know where to mount their plates on their inside to make it easier for them. So I drill them 4 inches on center from the top and not from the bottom. So what happens here, see this little thing here? Okay, it goes in out of the way when you put pressure to it. So it's gone now. Well, I didn't push it that hard, I guess. It goes in out of the way. I slide this down against this one, drill my hole, lift it off, push that one in a bit, come down here, this one here then pops back out of the way, slide it back up against that, and bang. So I got it fixed. 4 inch from here to the center, 4 inches from here to the center. And they just swing in when they're not used, see? And they pop back up. Close it, bring her back to this one, slide her back. I almost have a little bit of sawdust in it, it's sticking. Oh yeah, I see it down there. There we go. Now I don't do a lot of this. There's a charge, 50 cents a hole I charge for doing this. So most of the guys opt to do it themselves. And a lot of them don't use the European hinges either. Now if I were doing a lot of it, what I would do, I would put one of the air cylinders on here. And I just hit a button on a foot switch. And it would pop her down and release her on her own. But like I say, I don't do a lot, so I just reach up and spin her, cut her through. Want me to cut a hole? Yeah, why not? Just show you. Just in case anybody out there in the world of TV land never seen a hole being cut before. That's 9/16 deep. They need to be 1/2 inch. For the hinge is a 1/2 inch. So I'll make the hole 9/16. 9/16 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and then that's where she'll mount at. I might even have one here, I'll show you. Yes, ollie I do. Now I'm not going to push this in all the way, because they got little flanges on them, so the bit's getting out. See, there's 1 3/8 or 35mm hole. You push it in, and then this mounts on the inside of your flange, goes on the inside of your cabinet. That this mounts to, like so, and then here's your hinge. Opens and closes, if it stays in there. Oh, it's open now. There we go. And close. See? And here's a table. This is a picture in a book, as you can see. I'm going to be making this for myself out of mahogany. Now you see the legs here. Wait till I get this thing steadied. You can see the legs. You can see the outer diameter of this bead, this ring, and some of these other smaller ones adjacent to it, bottom and top, is bigger in diameter than the square of the leg. So rather than make the legs all this square and then cutting them squares down after, I made them the finished square I wanted, and I added pieces on here. See what I done? Just added these on. So I put them in the lathe now and turn them down in my big turning rings. The big rings will be in here, and this will be my square. The size. I'm just doing it bit by bit when I got nothing to do. So I got those 4 blanks made up. Now when I get a chance, I'll spin them. Here's my top. I got it joined up. And I've done this now about a couple of weeks ago at least. Maybe close to a month. And I had this material in stock for about 6 months. So any twisting is going to do, and of course it shouldn't because it's all kiln dried, but just in case, she's still as straight as an arrow across there. All this got to be done now is gone through the sander. Then I'll put the scallops on the edges and the ins and outs and ups and downs to make it. It's just something I'm doing to put in the house, that's all. I'm going to finish it in clear. So we got something in there, you know, something out of oak, something out of mahogany, something out of this, something out of that. Directed to Skipper there, Skipper House. I was telling you on the phone about my clamping rack I made up. Here it is here. And because of lack of space, of course I can't have everything set up, so I just stick it up against the wall there where you've seen it. Drop these in here. I just take a couple of clamps, slide her on here, and depending on the width of the panel, I can move her back and forth. And if it gets beyond that clamp, I got another one sitting over here. So I can go right on over to here. Of course I can't come up over this, that'll be no good. I can come over to here. And the thing now with this being square, and these two pieces being perfectly in line with each other, when I lay my boards on here and clamp them up, the panel is like perfectly flat. Whereas you're sitting them on saw horses and everything else, you might get, you know, your door could be this way or your panel could be this way. This is exaggerated, of course, but this way here now they're perfectly flat. And when they're done, we wipe the glue off of them. Swings up against here like this, so we wipe the glue off of the back side, and then just grab the panel by the middle like this, ping her up, and pull her out and go stick it up against the wall. Done. And do the next one. Oh, my battery's getting low or not or what? I had to hit her 2 or 3 times. That time we got her to come on. And battery's good in the unit. Battery in the remote, I think maybe might be going. I turned her off and on there. She worked good. I tipped my sensor down a bit. Now here's something I know you haven't seen. And I know there ain't too many people that's going to watch this tape that's seen it either, because it's something new. It just came out. And it took me, I seen it a year ago, and it took me to last week to track it down and get one. I'm not going to tell you the name of it. I'm not going to tell you where I got it to. Not that I won't tell you. I ask you on the phone, I'll tell you. Ask me on the phone, I'll tell you. Well, I ain't putting it in writing. This is like putting something in writing. And that's this thing. Take a look here now and see if we got her in. Yeah. Got a motor mounted underneath here. What that is, this is a wheel. Looks like a grinding wheel. Only it's not. It's made of a substance that will sand wood, and it wears down. I don't know how long it's going to take it to wear down. But the whole thing of this is that it will confirm itself, confine itself, it will shape itself to this contour right here. That's on the molding. This profile here, just on the inside edge all the way around the doors, has to be sanded when it's in a derail like this. So right now the only way to sand it, take a piece of sandpaper and you go like this, put it around your finger and you go like this, and you go like that. I mean, this thing's got a million ins and outs and ups and downs and turns. Now, I mean, this is how hard it is really. That one is just sanded. Now, it comes off the shaper pretty smooth, cutting real good. But when you do them dozen after dozen after dozen, it takes a while to get it. So what this wheel will do, I wrap sandpaper on this, glue sandpaper onto this right here, and then take it and put it up against the wheel, and the wheel will take on this shape. And then of course take the sandpaper off and throw it away and throw this away because I probably got it ruined. So then you just take the doors before they're assembled and go like this and it sands it. But you're looking at almost $200 for that wheel, but I get the money back in time saved. Thus leaves are falling from the trees. Chinese elm aren't starting yet, but these other ones are always early. They always fall down early. You go around with the vacuum master and suck them all up. Ben's going at it this morning. We got a tractor over there, a trailer anyway, loading up. Here's what I'm doing. The whole Moe's room out there is just about done for up around, except for up around the ceiling. The bottom done. And the walls up so far done. And I got the ceiling done. Putting a new light up there, she tells me. I got part of the ceiling. I changed directions here, as you see. I'm going to do the same on the other side. This was all 1-inch pine boards, number 1 and 2 common. And we took them and ran them through the big bandsaw, not the one you just seen a while ago, the bigger one. And we resawed it down the middle. And they were all 8 inches wide when we started. So we made, instead of having 1x8s, we had half by 8s. And then we took the 8 and ripped it down the center, or down along the length, and made half by 4s out of it. So we got 4 square foot out of 1 square foot. So we only needed when I measured up the room and found the square footage, I just divided it by 4. And then we took it and tongue and grooved it. We put our own tongues and grooves in it. Then we spread it out in the driveway and sprayed it with the spray gun with sanding sealer, and took the sander and sanded it. And then we took it and spread it out in the driveway and sprayed her all again with the top coat. We're going to put I got to put a fill up in there. I'm putting a drop down from the ceiling and putting a strip around there. And then we're putting a 3 5/8 crown molding up there. Painted green, hunter green. Just that molding will be. And we're putting a chair rail around here. Painted hunter green, and 4-inch baseboard. The same thing. We'll paint that as well. I'll show you some more of this later when it's all done. Off the ceiling.